Hey gang, welcome back. This is Siberian, and today I'm going to be doing a review of this awesome Rossi poster. Kidding, we're not doing the Rossi poster. Guys, this is my bike. I haven't really bothered to really do a reveal. I feel like there's a lot of people that do that already, and since I probably won't be doing my motor vlog until later this, July, seeing as how my arm is still kind of messed up, got to get it looked at, I figured I'd kind of go over some of the mods that I have on the bike and some of the things that I've done. So one of the first things that I wanted to show you guys was actually the mirrors. So I got these off of Amazon for about like 25 bucks or something, and they're pretty nice, integrated LED mirrors. So what you'll see in here is that we've got LEDs in here, and then what you can see is that the LEDs are actually also in the mirror right here as well. Now, they're not quite bright enough to really show during the day, which actually kind of pisses me off, but considering they're 25 bucks and not about 250 like some of the ones that I saw out there, they're not too bad. The only issue I had was basically the screws in here were actually kind of too small for the frame of this bike, so I had to manually sit there and grind them down because I couldn't find an alternative around in Home Depot or Lowe's, which is actually kind of frustrating, but it was kind of a debacle, to put this on. But overall, I'm really actually quite excited that they fit the bike, and they're not quite as good at getting all the cars around you like the stock mirrors, but they still keep me safe, and I was able to really get rid of the blinkers that are stock on the bike, which I think look kind of ugly. And also, since in California we're not really allowed to have the blinking running lights around here, I couldn't do the logo, so I just kind of gave up on that and went with this route instead. Now my next kind of planned mod for the bike is going to be actually moving the shifter over into this position so that I have a GP shift on the street. Still haven't gotten around to that yet, since I've been mostly, just kind of riding around, but I'll get to that in probably just a little bit. Now the next one that I've done here is actually the integrated tail light. So what's nice about this thing again is it allows me to completely get rid of the turn signals in the bike. So it's not quite as bright as the stock light, but it definitely gets the job done. And so you have a middle section that lights up red as you're braking, and then the left side, if the left blinker is on, is going to be the one that's shining, and then the right side shines obviously if the right blinker is on. It integrated fairly easily. I have to say that this particular light, I'm not too impressed with the build quality on this one, because there's a lot of hot glue patches, and if you can see, it doesn't actually mesh with the bike 100%. So you might be better off getting a different brand, is what I would suggest, and see if that works a little bit better, because there's definitely some gaps in here which look kind of unsightly when you put it back together. Overall though, I'm pretty satisfied. The only thing is the wiring instructions that came with it, once again, don't really apply to the 2015 model, but my dealership has slightly modified the wiring inside as well. So that might be the case for you, it might not. You kind of have to check that out yourself. Now something else you're seeing here is I have a fender eliminator kit. And this one's replacing, obviously, the stock fender. This one in particular, I liked when I saw online, because I thought it was just going to be this part right here. Unfortunately, there's a huge metal bracket that goes to the actual fender, itself. And the issue there is that it weighs almost just as much as the stock piece, which is really frustrating to me. And at the price point, which I think was 150 or 130 bucks, you could definitely get some better options out there that are going to be much lighter. My whole thing with this, again, was basically just get rid of the stock turn lights and kind of lighten up the fender in the back. Didn't quite happen, but I guess since the weight is closer to the center of the bike, it sort of does help in that area as well. So it's kind of your choice on that. But again, there are better options for you out there if you choose to go that route. Now what you'll see next is my pipe actually has the baffles removed. Now I did the super ghetto way of just basically kind of hammering it out. What I would recommend is I'll put a link in the video description for a way of doing it better, so you don't actually end up scratching out the back. But I do have to say that even without removing the exhaust servo, this actually ends up working pretty well. So that's just one of the things that I've done as well, until I get a different pipe for the bike. And I'm thinking of going to Austin Racing GP2, I believe, pipe. It's just very small. Basically just fits in that little area right there. Doesn't really hang out too much. And what's nice is that this thing weighs about 9 pounds from what, just the slip-on area right here, the muffler. and that's quite a bit of weight, so I'm thinking I could save a significant amount going that route. And then probably my next mod would actually be the bike's battery. The battery's in here, and when I weighed it, it was at around 4.6 pounds, I want to say, which is not bad actually, all things considered. But if you go with a lithium battery, like lithium ion or li-poly, you could potentially bring it down to, you know, something like 2.3 to 1 pounds, depending on how many cells you get in there. And that's kind of like the area that I'm aiming for, is maybe shave off about 2 pounds, you know, up top in the bike, to kind of like help that out a little bit. So that's basically it so far. I'm not really sure what else I'm going to do with this thing yet. Probably not much for a while. It's already fairly light, but I mean, when you're looking at 450 pounds, I personally don't weigh that much. I'm at about 132 right now, so I weigh basically nothing in the bigger picture of things. But as far as a lot of other people go, you know, it might be more worth your time to actually lose weight on yourself than on the bike. But it definitely weighs quite a bit more than the stock R1, I believe, and you know, of course, more than the Panigale. But this bike in particular, I didn't get the HP, you know, forged aluminum wheels, which I now actually kind of regret, because with this one, I can definitely feel that the steering is fairly heavy on the bike. Now, I mean, it's fairly flickable, but in comparison to even my old 2007 R1, it definitely feels a bit more on the sluggish side when it comes to turning at highway speeds. Parking lots, not so much of a problem, but I'm definitely thinking of going forged magnesium, probably from Marchesini down the road at some point. Hopefully that, you know, pans out. But as far as the stock package goes, this isn't too bad. My bike has the sport and the dynamic packages on it. So I have the DDC suspension. You know, it's got the heated grips and stuff, so it's nice. I definitely do feel that the suspension adjusts as I'm riding. It's fairly obvious. There's really no fork dive, which is amazing, because when you start to brake on any bike that doesn't have this kind of, you know, suspension package, you can definitely feel the forks kind of give out, unless of course you've adjusted them yourself manually. But on most of these bikes stock, you're gonna get, you know, that feeling where the nose just kind of dips down. Not so much the case on this machine, and the same thing for accelerating, you know, off a start. You've got an electronic suspension in the back as well. And you know, there's again basically no fork dive happening whatsoever. Well, I guess in this case it'd just be the rear shock. Now, as far as just overall street use so far, is basically what I've used it for. I'd want to say that it's extremely rideable. I mean, the power is definitely there, but you're limited to 9,000 RPM electronically before you go in for your first service, which is not too bad. You know, it definitely will make sure that you don't kill yourself on it. So, and you still absolutely feel it. Now, I don't know if you lose some of the torque that the bike has if you change the exhaust on it. You might. I don't really know. I'm not that mechanically inclined. If you guys know, you know, please just let me know in the comments down below. But you definitely feel it pulling a lot more. I know in comparison to the Yamaha, even though it's a significantly dated bike, it pulls way better. Now the traction control, I haven't really tested too much yet. I don't really know. I couldn't give you guys a good kind of feel for that because I haven't done enough riding on the bike. I think I've only put about 120 miles on it so far, despite having bought it, you know, sometime like this late March. But the ABS I've already gotten to kind of test out. You know, there's a couple of cars that pulled out in front of me recently on the way to work, and it worked great, you know, as expected. None of the wheels locked up, and I was basically mid-turn, and it worked. You know, normally when you brake on bikes like these, they'll just straighten right out, and you're kind of screwed, or you know, you could lose either your rear or your front. But didn't happen in this case. Just absolutely amazing ABS system on it. And again, it works in lean angles as well, which is just spectacular. So that's the overview of my bike. Bike's name's Serenity, just in case you guys didn't already know. So feel free to, follow me on Facebook. I've got a Twitter as well, and I'll be doing uploads hopefully regularly once my arm feels a little bit better. Hopefully I can get my first vlog out there, by July 15th, and I'll see you guys out there on the road. So, just stop by, watch my other videos. I've got a bunch of silly stuff going on my channel right now, and I'll see you all in my next video. So take care until then.